If you're running a small business, improving your workflow and making smarter decisions can have a huge impact on your results. In today's episode, the team breaks down practical strategies for optimizing day-to-day operations, identifying inefficiencies, and making better use of tools and systems to stay productive. They also share real-world insights on problem-solving, adapting to change, and what it takes to run a more efficient and successful business. All this and more on the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast.
Okay, everybody. Hi, this is Mike Riley with my team here, Brook and Amari. Amari, the engineer, he might be chipping in from time to time. It's middle of January, third week in January. And this is the time, everybody, when you look back at what happened last year. And when I say look back at what happened, I mean the good, the bad, the ugly. Because that should be the basis of the changes you're going to make this year. So let's talk about the number one thing. How much money did you really make, right? And divide that by the estimated hours that you put into it. So if you've got a bunch of properties or you have a business and you're spending 7 days a week, and you figured you made $50,000, then you probably made about $10 an hour if you factor in the overtime. What did that property make that you rented? I mean, what did it really make? Take away the taxes, take away your time, take away bad collections, the whole 9 yards. And you may find that you made for this property 6%, 5% when it was all said and done. Now ask yourself, with this property, with this business, what should you do differently? And should you even continue doing what you're doing? Your thoughts, Brook?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the time of year to look back at all your numbers and, put some headphones on, classical music, get all your numbers, your revenue, your expenses, put it on a spreadsheet, and don't, when I say put everything down, I mean put everything down. Don't, you want to look at all of the information, like you said, the good, the bad, especially the ugly. And at least for me, what I feel like I've got, I'm just picturing all these spreadsheet tabs in my head now. And it's really, I have to remind myself to step back every hour or so, because I can get so in the weeds on certain costs and certain categories. That it's important to look back and really study, okay, specifically to properties. Okay, what properties performed really well? What properties performed really bad? So you're studying all your numbers and plopping them in a spreadsheet, on Google or Excel. And yeah, but you can't improve on what you want to do this year if you don't look back at what happened the previous year. It's like that line from Side Effects, which I know it's a movie that you and I but there's that Jude Law quote where he says,
Past events.
Yeah, or future behavior is based on past events or something like that.
Past events predict future behavior.
Or that, yeah.
Okay, so let's just say you're, let's drill this down to some simple analogy. You want to lose weight. Who doesn't want to lose weight? Get in shape. Yeah. Okay, so that's Jane. So treat your business, treat your property investments, just put it through the goal template, okay? And so if you want to have a successful outcome to what you say you want to do, you know what the first thing you do? First thing you do is you write it down. As the legendary Emmitt Smith, Hall of Fame running back for the Dallas Cowboys, said, a dream is a wish written down. A dream is a wish written down. If you're not writing it down and looking at it every day, maybe put it up on the mirror. And when you look at yourself, you look at that little tab on your mirror. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. So if I'm 220, I want to get to 200.
Yeah, like even that too. There was another podcast that I listen to a lot. He's a small business up. Well, he's not small. I mean, he runs a pretty successful nutrition company, but he's a marathon guy. He talks a lot about, business, fitness, all that kind of stuff. He made this good analogy where, and losing weight is a great example because it's one that I think a lot of people can relate to. And he had a friend who was trying to lose weight, and she was eating egg whites in the morning, oatmeal, protein at lunch. Like, she was eating super healthy, and every week she'd step on the scale and she gained weight. And she met with her nutritionist, and he was like, well, you're clearly either lying to me and you're like eating at night, or you're forgetting to track something. Well, she was dousing her egg whites in olive oil, which she thought was
Healthy.
a healthy thing.
Yeah, Mediterranean diet, man.
Yeah. So it's like the same thing. And once she obviously cut that out, she lost a bunch of weight. So like in finances and, real estate investment, like, you put everything down on the spreadsheet. I don't care if it's
Pack of gum. Yeah.
I don't care if it's the kid down the street cutting your lawn or if it's the new furnace you install. Like, you put all the money down, and if you set up your spreadsheet the right way, a plus number is positive income, negative is expenses. You sum it up at the end. If that number is in the negative, then you lost money. If it's in the positive, that's how much money you made. So I know it was eye-opening for us when we did that for our properties. And, we have identified the real stinkers, and, I think we have a plan of what we're going to do for those specific houses.
Yeah, I think back to the weight thing. Let's just kind of walk through the basic steps there. You're setting a goal. Okay. 220 to 200. Okay, what's your plan? Your plan is you're going to write everything you eat. Everything that you put in your mouth, you're writing down.
You track it. Yeah.
Okay, are you doing a tablespoon of olive oil, or are you doing that olive oil spray? Okay, which is hugely cuts down the amount of olive oil you're using. More control. Portions. Weigh, putting it on a scale. How many grams are you eating here? Portions can really warp your calorie count. And then, of course, are you working out? Are you working out every day? Working out could be a 30-minute walk, a 60-minute walk. Hey, listen to a podcast. Listen to our podcast. That's 30 minutes. Put your Apple Watch on, or watch on, a Fitbit, whatever, and you just put a 30-minute walk in. And that's your exercise. Or maybe you're on a bike, or working on a bike, or maybe you're at a rowing machine, or, I've been taking up swimming the last 5 years. And, you swim 30 minutes. You write it down. You write down the calories you're burning. You write down the calories that are coming in. And then you weigh yourself. And you weigh yourself once a week, not every day, because it'll fluctuate based on how much water you're. And if you're not losing some weight, then, like you said, Brook, you go back and you double check, what am I missing here?
Yeah.
Right? Now, the same thing goes with anything else you do. Your finances, there should be a measuring result. The measuring result at the end of each month is, what do I weigh now? Or how much money do I have in the bank? I mean, it should be there. If you're making $2,000 and you're spending $1,500, there should be $500 in the bank, right? It's either there or it's not there. If it's not there, what just happened? Oh, that's right. Ooh, I forgot those 3 dinners that I had out.
Or those hidden subscriptions.
Or those hidden subscriptions, or those recurring charges. So setting a goal and having a plan is just half of the exercise. The next thing is measuring it and then making your changes. And, wash, rinse, repeat,
I think too, it's, we talk about this in my meetings, and I know Amari and I talked about it in a podcast we did. It's really easy to do that and be strict with budgeting, working out, eating healthy when you want to do it. But the real work happens when you don't.
Right.
That's when you have that mental battle where at those are the most important times and crucial times where you either want to reach that goal or you don't.
Right.
So I think people need to, be aware of there's going to be days where you don't want to set a budget, want to go out a couple times a week. I mean, if you set that goal, if you set that budget, those are the days where you got to just stay strong and be like, no, I got to stick to it. And you just become stronger when you do the things you're supposed to do on the days you don't want to do it.
There's a couple words that we want to focus on. Persistence is one of them. Successful people are extremely persistent. They fall off the horse, they get back on the horse. They power through the times they don't want to do it. Persistence is a major key in success. The other important rule is, like you say, that you have a burning you're ambitious to improve. You're ambitious to improve. And that's why a lot of immigrants, when they get over here, it's a land of plenty for them because they have the opportunity. They will work 7 days a week. You've got that Chinese family that owns that, that dry cleaning. They have a restaurant. I mean, they're working every day. And when you go over there, the kids are working. And if the kids aren't working, they're doing homework. Our next door neighbors at Sunluck. And you see our Turkish guys, Yusuf and Amir. I mean, they're working every day. Every day they're working. You should be working out every day. Now, the last key word I want to mention is awareness. Now, this is so important. You are always aware of what you're doing. You're getting that third glass of wine at dinner. Really? How about some water? You want to give up smoking? Well, when do you take your smoke breaks and go outside? How about just grabbing a carrot to put in your mouth instead of a cigarette? You're going to, how many, you two guys work with me. You help manage the business. Amari, you could join this conversation. All the people that we've interviewed in this room for hiring, remember our favorite expression? They got to feed.
I got to feed my babies.
Feed my babies. I got to feed my babies. They work one day, and the next day they don't show up.
Because the babies are starving.
Man, those babies are starving. I know they're starving. Okay? There are people out there that excel at looking for work. When they get the work, they don't want to do the work.
Right.
Okay? They are their own worst enemy. And that's being aware of when you are consciously make a decision to quit is important. When you stop okay, maybe that habit's not fully formed where you're writing down what you're eating or writing down what you're spending. Okay, get back up on the horse, catch up, and say to yourself, I got to learn how to do this.
Just to cut in, you made me think of something, Jerry Seinfeld, where he talks about coming up with ideas for, just comedy, whether he's writing for a show, whether he's writing for a joke or whatever. He says he always sits down with his legal pad and he carves out an hour. He doesn't even have to write. He gives himself a rule where it's like, I don't have to come up with something, but I have to sit down here for an hour and stare at this legal pad and try to come up with something. So it's like he's setting that discipline so the habit's so firmly in place that he's not gonna go do 20 different things throughout the week and I got to make time for this. I got to feed my babies. I got to go do this. It's like every day I'm sitting here, whether there's a result or whether there isn't, so I think that kind of speaks to that kind of persistence that you need, where it's like, I'm going to sit down and do this. We talk about this a lot too, where it's like, you should be coming up with ideas throughout your week. Right now is like the perfect time to reflect, come up with ideas, come up with strategies for how you want to approach the year. But it's really going to start taking effect and mattering when we're much busier, when we're in the busy season and jobs are coming in.
Well, even then, you've got to make the time to think.
Right.
To think and reflect. And I use this expression a lot here at work. Get into the zone. Mm-hmm. You got to get into the zone. Go to the other side of the building. Go on the E. Riley side.
Right.
Just, I'm going to work on this movie. I'm going to work on this YouTube thing. I'm going to work on, I'm going to work late, or I'm going to work early, or whatever time. They say there are times in the day, your circadian rhythm,
right,
where to me, the mornings is when I clip through things.
Right.
I clip through things, meetings, decisions, get my clipboard together, what I call old clipboards, where I go through these old clipboards and I cross things out. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did that. I'm organizing all the stuff that I talked about doing that is on my list. Mm-hmm. And we talked about the ABC list, where the ABC list, well, I got to meet payroll. That's the A list, right? I got to sell jobs. That's the A list. I got to get a tenant. Mm-hmm. Okay. I got to do my clipboard, which is think time. So that's your A list. Then you got your B, and then you got your C. When you come up with an idea, that has got to go in the ABC column. Mm-hmm. Now, you may find that this idea is just not going to fly, but your brain has now become wired to come up with ideas, to come up with solutions, because you're thinking proactively. And it all starts with, and I kind of creep into my why college is a waste of time. It's a passive way of learning in a lot of cases. It's not like it was 40 years ago. You're going to college because somehow that thing is going to stamp you with success. Mm-hmm. It's not going to do anything. If you don't know how to think proactively, come up with ideas, set goals, and whatever, that degree means nothing if you don't know how to think. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the best thinking is that first year when you're in school, you're in college, ask yourself, is this working out? Am I getting anything out of this? When you're working for that customer, or when you have that tenant in that house, ask yourself, is this working? Because that is a level of proactive thinking and awareness. Am I really going to have time to get this thing done? When you come up with an idea to hit your goal, for us, our goal is we want to make money without getting burned out. Okay? We want to come into work feeling like, I'm ready to go. This is not the salt mine. Okay? I'm not going down there just digging. Just when I'm, you're looking at your watch, when is this day going to be over? When you're involved in something which you feel is fulfilling and you feel like there's some purpose there, you look up, that day's gone. That day is, it's 5 o'clock. I got to stay here till 6 to get this done. And that is when people have their own business, people are investing, in real estate, they don't give themselves time to reflect and ask questions. Is this working? You may have gotten a bad house. You may have bought a house, overpay in a bad area that you can't rent. You may have started a restaurant and everybody's going, ooh, restaurant. I'm starting a restaurant. And you don't have enough money to pay your bills. Now, if you don't give yourself time to think, then how do you know you're at a dead end? Jump in here, Brook. I'm losing my breath here. We're getting so excited.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. The Cleveland real estate market is a jungle. And if you're investing here without a guide, you're not a real estate mogul adding another house to your portfolio, you're the fool at the poker table. Every year, investors lose serious money chasing deals. Cheap houses, bad areas, fast flips, hiring the brother-in-law as the contractor and property manager. We've been in contracting for over 50 years. Property management for over 40. We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Riley Properties is your one-stop shop to avoid all the traps investors fall into. Know the table before you play the hand. Call us today for a consultation.
No, I mean, it's important to step back and kind of look at from the treetop view. And I always find that my best ideas either come when I'm on my run or like late at night, after I've showered. I mean, I just have like this notepad on my coffee table because there's just stuff that comes up. They could be ideas, that could be things I forgot that I need to put on my schedule for the following day. And it's also stuff, where it's like things I have to do like in my personal life. But it's so important to have that time in the day to kind of not think about work, and you just kind of let your brain kind of wander off and really not think. And it's usually in those moments, like if I have a problem or if I am like, I don't know how to solve this, I'll most of the time come to a resolution after like a workout or after I've like walked the dogs.
Yeah, but you've told your brain, here's the difference. You got to tell your brain, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. Now your brain's working in the background while you're sleeping. That's when you have those shower moments, because you have taught your brain to think proactively, to think about solutions. I want everybody who's listening to this podcast, when you go out to dinner, when you're at a party, when you're talking to friends, look for the people that complain a lot. Excuses, complain, boyfriend, wife, family, job, boss, whatever. Is there a solution there? Maybe I got to do something differently? No, it's all passive. And again, think about the college experience. You're in a classroom. You didn't do well on the test. Teacher didn't teach me well. No, you didn't ask questions.
I think too, like at least I know Mari, we're not exactly the same age, but we're kind of in that young adult age group where, I don't know about you, but I feel like the majority of the time when I ask my friends, like, how you doing? It's either I'm tired, I'm stressed. It's not a lot of positivity.
No.
And I'm just so sick of hearing that.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember I had this real kind of like come to Jesus moment when my son was born. He was maybe 3 weeks old. And it was one of those days where he was just crying from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed. And it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a Sunday. And he's crying, and I'm changing his diaper. And I am probably the tiredest I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at him, and he doesn't give a shit but I'm tired. And it was this real kind of like, I just kind of surrendered. I was like, you know what? You're tired. Deal with it.
Right.
Find a solution. And it was in that moment, ironically, that he kind of just stopped crying. And I was like, so it's kind of this like acceptance of like,
Right.
but getting back to like, having a problem, finding a solution. I mean, I think I'm just wired that way, where it's like, if I have a problem, I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
Like if there's something that I want to do, I will figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, but see, your life switched when you got in the program.
Well,
But before that, he was self-medicating. It was
I was also like 18,
yeah.
so I think, I mean, yeah, but a majority of it was, my addiction. But no, I mean,
I think that's where especially young men can struggle. There was a story that came out, I don't know, 20 years ago. We talked about single parents, single moms, and how the daughters of single women, single moms, super successful. The sons, a real problem. Because the sons were getting babied by their moms.
Right.
Where the moms, they looked at their daughter and they saw themselves and they kind of hey, cut your shit. You got to get work to do, And this is where you've got to teach people that you're managing. This is where managing can be really hard. This can be where parenting can be really hard. Where you've got to teach them how to be strong. I keep telling, you heard me say this all the time, 50 years with my own business. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But it's not easy. When you accept that it's going to be hard, that I call it the 95-5 rule, 5%, it's going to be, some shit hitting the fan, but it shouldn't be a constant grind. And that's the thing that's why I feel so sorry about, people out there. Maybe they say, well, I don't want to have any kids. Kids are wonderful. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. Kids, I can't believe how fun it is being a dad. It was always fun. But I didn't look at my kids as a burden.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at them as a joy in my life. But the way I parented was, you got work to do here. I ain't doing all of this. Okay, I didn't sign up for that. You got to make the bed. You got to do the dishwasher. You got to sweep up.
cut wood.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. It's not my problem. Come on, new dad, Brook. Looking back at old dad.
Well, no, I mean, I really see the differences like between me and like my wife. The whole idea of like chores.
She's not going to listen to this.
Oh, she doesn't even know.
Don't share this with.
No, but it's like, on Friday night, I make my lists, work I got to finish up, emails to send out, stuff I got to do around the house, errands. And it's like, I'm wired through, what you put me through and just life experiences where it's like, I like doing that stuff now. I like getting chores done. I like paying my bills on time. I like wrapping up work. But like with my wife, it can be, she's amazing because I can just get so stuck in the routine of like, nope, it's chores, this, then it's this, then it's this, then it's this. And she's really kind of opened me up to like, no, we need to go out on a date.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
No, we're not going to go to Urban Twine and eat there again on Saturday.
Yeah.
Take me to L'Albatross. Take me to pizza. And I'm just so wired in routine, and it was a real struggle. But now it's just like, I see the benefits now, especially with a newborn.
Right.
Where, oh man, now it's like I look
Date night.
Yeah. Now it's like I look forward to doing that. And
yeah, I remember when, hey, everybody, Brook is my middle son, so you sound confusing here. He also works in the business. But I remember my wife, your mom, happily married 42 years and all that. But I remember when the kids came, we're going out once a week. Once a week, date night, Wednesday. And I'm paying this forward to the people listening to this podcast. I got that gift paying forward from a customer a month before my daughter Lindsay was born. And he said, Mike, make sure you go out every night. Not every night. You go out once a week. You go on a date night. Your life does not end when you're a parent. Okay? It does not end. You're adding joy to your life, but it's not like you're condemned to what? Drive the kids around all the time? We're not doing that. I remember, I don't know, I don't mind taking them now and then. Yeah, okay, Discovery Zone. But Brook would have some of his friends sleep over. Yeah, I'm going to make some pancakes. That's all right, you guys start cleaning up. Hey, some of these kids didn't even know what a dishwasher was, right?
Yeah.
They were like, hey, hey, you make that frickin' bed, man. I ain't making it. But it wasn't like putting them through that guilt trip, but it was like, hey, man, I'll treat you with some respect, but I expect you to do what you can do here, right? Right. We're not driving around. I got to work on Saturday. And I did have to work. I had to do estimates, and sometimes I'd be going out doing 4 or 5 jobs, and I'd sell a couple of home runs. Come home, we are going out to right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it was 7 days a week working, in the wintertime, just hustling. I used to work over the holidays, Christmas, because I had to sell work for January. And I said, boy, we are going to Disney World the first week of January. And it was almost like a tradition. I'll work. I'm going to take some of that money, that extra money I just made, but I'm going to enjoy my life. And if you have your own business and it's a salt mine, or if you're on a diet and you're gaining weight, or you're tracking your money on a money chart and you're in debt, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. Got a bad marriage? Something's got to change. I'm not talking about getting a divorce, but something has to change. You got to stop arguing about the same bullshit. Got to bring home some flowers. You got to change the dynamics. But you need to do it differently. And that is what, it's all well and good talk about those New Year's resolutions in January, but are you going to walk the talk?
And talk to me in March.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody, we've got some final thought is on these meetings we've been having, what I call treetop meetings. We look at what worked, what didn't work. There has to be concrete changes that you can feel in the routine and the process. Concrete changes that you are going to do. You're doing something different, right? We're looking at every month now with the fine-tooth comb. We're looking at it every month now. What do we make money here? What do we spend money? What did we think we were going to do? What actually happened? We're looking at each end of month as if it's the end of the year. That's the key. Because I don't want to wake up 9 months later and find out we're losing money. You better know whether you're losing money every week, almost every day. If you're not getting up and going to work and taking care of your shit, you're a failure. Just look in the mirror, get up and say, you know what? I choose to fail. Go ahead, Mari, give us the final thoughts here.
Yeah. One of the things that you say from time to time is these spreadsheets, this data, these numbers, the tracking, it should tell a story. So that's what is important to look back on,
Good point.
understand that
Great
story,
point,
instead of just looking at it as just numbers in cells. It should tell a story, and that story should inform the strategy moving forward. We had a really good meeting earlier today talking about these are the mistakes that were made last year. Here's the things that, we're going to do to try to change it. And it wasn't just black and white. Okay, this was wrong. This is right. But it was like, based on the timing of this didn't really pan out. We're going to try this, but we're going to stay open-minded to, different possibilities as well. So,
right. That's a great point. And I think what I'm hoping everybody we realize, and it took me a long time to realize this too, is that churning. It's almost like you're churning soil, and I was telling Lindsay, meaning it's shades of gray. It's not necessarily black and white. Some issues are black and white. Mm-hmm. And you got to know what the black and white is. If the customer's a dick, I'm not doing this.
Right.
I'm not working for this guy. He's an idiot.
Right.
I'm not renting to somebody. You say somebody calls and says, well, I need something right away. How's your credit? Well, it needs work. That's a no. That is black and white. Mm-hmm. Okay. They probably got kicked out or evicted and their credit's bad because they don't pay their rent. So do I want to rent to that person? No.
Right.
What jobs make money? What jobs don't make money? So there is a lot of hard black and white. And then there's a lot of nuances that you got to be open to. That nobody's giving you the answer. Is the economy changing? And right now it is changing. It's going back to what it was 5 years ago with interest rates higher. So right now properties, it's starting to change a little. Other businesses are, we're doing more remotes. So office buildings are changing. Things are always changing. But again, if you're not aware of what's going on, hey, everybody, instead of going to college, let's say, hey, you out there is 18 years old. Do yourself a favor. Take a year off and read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal every day. Every day, just read it. You'll know more in 1 year than if you went 8 years in school. You'll just know more. Are you going to do that? Give yourself, start reading. Start listening to podcasts. Start being a carnivore for knowledge. That's my point. Now, if you want to go back to college, you're going to walk in there after that year of training your head, of reading, you're going to go back there. I'll tell you, you will be a superstar in class. That teacher, that professor is going to look at you and you're going to be so different. You know why? Because you're going to talk different. The questions are going to be different. The questions have a purpose, not to get a grade, but to get more knowledge. See, that's the difference. People get it. And then take a sales course, talk to people, because people can tell when you're listening to them because you're building on the conversations. You're not going through some, we tell our VAs in the Philippines, Melanie and Clarice and all they're hardworking people. Don't read off a script. Try to get the meat of it and then build on that. And people pick that up. Okay? I remember when, Brook, you were in Little League. And I was watching that last team, Coach Terry or whatever. And it's like watching the Bad News Bears. I mean, it was terrible. They're striking out. They're getting all 10. These kids hated playing this baseball. But when I took over the coach, we said, we're going to teach you how to hit. We're going to teach you how to field. We're going to teach you how to pitch. And then every game, they got better. And when you get better and when you taste success, you know what? You want more of it. You can't wait to get up and go to work because you feel every day I'm getting better. And that's when we talk to our people here in this company, we sit down with them. This is what happened last year. This is how you're going to do it. We're going to teach them how to hit. Mm-hmm. We're going to teach them how to field. This is not up for discussion. This is not just, oh, here we go. Every year we do this rah-rah bullshit. No, we're going to do it different. We're going to teach different. We're going to manage different. And somebody doesn't want to do it, they can leave, right? But the people that stay are the people that are going to be bringing energy in, not sucking it out.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll pick this up Brook, final thoughts for you.
Just a couple final notes is, Mario, when you were saying that, all these good meetings we had, I made me think of, do you remember that scene in Ghostbusters, the beginning, when they're in the library and Igor's like, his calculator?
Yeah.
He's just looking at all these numbers. And Bill Murray's like, well, what do we do? Like, what's the plan? So it's like, on the one hand, I'm advocating, look at your numbers, look at all the data. But then once you've got that, you need to like step back. That's when like that think time is like, okay, what do I do about this?
Right.
And my last point is I usually watch this docuseries probably once a year. It's on Netflix. It's the Bill Gates, the 3-parter. It's just amazing. And he's got these, he calls them they're called like a think week where, he's very rich and fortunate. He lives in Washington, but he has this little lake house and he has this guy.
State of Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has this guy, he flies him out on the lake, and it's this little cottage, and all he does there is he just reads. He reads for like a week. He's got his little fridge of Diet Cokes, he's got a notepad, and he's just reading. And now it's his ex-wife, but she said like he needs that. He needs his brain. He needs to not be looking at Microsoft. He can't be thinking about, how to solve, a vaccine crisis. He just needs to be reading about a bunch of different stuff, and then it helps him come up with new ideas.
A range of subjects.
Yeah.
History, a novel.
Yeah.
Bio. Yeah, exactly.
So those are my final thoughts.
Right. Well, and I'll add to that, and then we'll close this. This has been good podcast. That's why I always believed in vacation. Going to Cancun, middle of March, going to Disney World. I mean, we did some great trips growing up. We lived in a nice house, which Brook lives in now for 41 years. No mortgage. We had it. We're always taking care of this house, but we didn't live in some McMansion. But to me, vacation was so important. If I got to make more money because vacation helped me make more money. We'd go to Cancun, be on that beach. Remember the first day or two was like watching paint dry because I was so juiced up and working. But by the third, I'm actually reading a book. Kids are playing in the sand, we're going out to eat. There wasn't this routine. We're going down to Disney World as a family and just being in that great company, that great vibe. Everything's clean, organized. I'm making mental snapshots and I'd come back to work and say, all right, we're going to start doing this. Let's start getting some good uniforms. We're going to start getting more proactive in terms of talking to people. But travel, reading, taking those breaks, it makes you just see on a wider scale. So
right.
We'll pick it up next week. We'll have a few more meetings, strategic meetings, and we'll pick it up next week. All right, everybody.
Good.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast with Mike Riley. Please add our show or follow us on Spotify, Overcast, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. Leave a like or comment on the video. All engagement is appreciated. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well for video content coming soon. For any Cleveland listeners or Cleveland Browns fans, you can check out our other podcast, Cleveland Browns Anonymous, for our weekly group therapy session. This is also on all the same platforms as the Cleveland Real Estate Investor.